Hey guys, how are you? Hope you're all having a fantastic evening. Tonight I'm going to be doing a review of a drama from Denmark, Danish language English subs, released in the year 2012, directed by Thomas Vinterberg, and this film is called The Hunt. And the story to The Hunt is as follows. Lucas is beloved by his students and fellow teachers at his local kindergarten. After a divorce made especially painful when his wife moved away from town with their teenage son Marcus, Lucas's life is recovering with a new girlfriend and the reforging of his relationship with Marcus. His world comes crashing down, however, when a young girl in his class accuses him of inappropriate behaviour. It's a simple lie that spirals out of control, and the small community suddenly finds itself in a collective state of hysteria. Long-held friendships are tested as mistrust takes hold, and Lucas must summon all of his strength in a brave fight for his life and dignity. So the movie centers upon the character of Lucas. He's a very popular kindergarten teacher. His students love him, and also his fellow teachers. So his life is going up. He's had a little bit of hardship in the past. His wife left him, his ex-wife, and has taken the custody of his teenage son Marcus. But these days Marcus wants to come back and live with him, so he's very happy about that, and he's found a new girlfriend. So everything seems to be going really well until one day one of his students, this very young girl, accuses him of inappropriate behaviour towards her, and so she tells the headmistress of this kindergarten, and she investigates this, and she gets people, the authorities involved, and pretty soon word gets out into the community that Lucas had exposed himself to this very young girl. So obviously the anger is there, and without any evidence they just label this guy as a sicko, and they push him on the outer, they alienate him, they beat him, and they're just trying to completely destroy him. So Lucas is innocent. This didn't happen, but he has to try and convince everybody that it didn't, and that's proving a lot more difficult than he thought, and it threatens to completely destroy everything that he's built up. So he's going to have to summon all of his strength in order to try and get to the bottom of this and clear his name. So whether or not he can do that, that's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on The Hunt. One word: wow. I mean, this will stand the test of time, and it will go down in my top 5 favourite films of all time. Movies like this are not made often enough. And when you get films and you see so many disappointing movies, you feel to yourself, well, when is a good film coming up? You know, I'm so disappointed. That movie wasn't as good as I thought it was. This movie wasn't as good as I thought it was. And then all of a sudden, The Hunt comes to you, and you think to yourself, this is a masterpiece. But I'm skeptical because movies of past, they haven't been as good as they were hyped up to be. But then The Hunt comes along, and you think to yourself, well, those other movies, it was worth the wait. And it just makes it even better in the fact that you've been disappointed all that time, and then a movie comes like this where it was absolutely brilliant and completely flawless filmmaking. Now, this is an absolute masterpiece, and I don't say that lightly. I just cannot find a negative in this film. It's just one of those films that is once in a lifetime, I guess you could say. It is a movie that has a very real message, and that message is the taboo subject of sexuality towards children, and it shows you the bad side of the paranoia that we have as a society. Yes, you should look at children in a very protective way. You don't want them being in the evil clutches of these perverts out there. But at the same time, you can't be as judgmental straight away, jumping to conclusions without really getting to the bottom of it, because you could be ruining someone's life. And this movie depicts that very, very well. Lucas was innocent. He was a great guy. But there's an exchange between Lucas and this little girl that wasn't sexual at all. It was completely appropriate, but the little girl didn't like the outcome, so she basically lied. It was a little lie, and she wasn't aware of the repercussions from this lie, but it completely destroys Lucas. And it was just so sad to see, because Lucas was a really good guy. And it's so scary because this could happen to you. This is a very realistic film. And this is the problem with believing everything straight away. These little kids in the movie, they constantly say, kids don't lie. I'm going to believe her straight away without any evidence. I'm going to say to her, yes, I believe you, and I'm going to completely destroy this person. And so Lucas doesn't really get an opportunity. Everybody labels him as the sicko, and so he feels so alone. And you get such a connection with him because, as I said, he's a good guy. You really like him. He's very popular, and you can see why he's popular, but then all of a sudden, in a blink of an eye, that popularity is completely washed away. And that's the harrowing part of the film, is that someone's identity, someone's reputation has been absolutely demolished with the click of a finger, basically. And it's just so much damage from one little lie. And that is what captivates you so much. I mean, it doesn't take long before the bad things start happening, and it just keeps unraveling. And you get an anger towards the community But at the same time, it's really weird because you don't know what to feel, because the community are acting in a way that you can appreciate because they're protecting the child. They have the right intentions, but because they're so barbaric towards the main character, you can't help but feel a little bit of anger. And at the same time, you feel sympathy for them because, especially the father, played by Thomas Bo Larsen, a great supporting role to Mads Mikkelsen, who plays Lucas. But Thomas Bo Larsen's character, it was Lucas's best friend. And when he finds out these bad things that start to happen, you could see that he was torn up about it, but he was doing what any father would do. So that's why I say you're kind of caught in the middle. You don't know whether to hate these people or you can understand these people. So in the end, what you do ultimately is feel sorry for everybody involved, but more so the main character, because he is the one that's suffering the most. But then every other character is suffering because they believe that these bad things happen to this girl, so they're feeling really down about it as well. So it's a movie of a lot of emotion. As I said, in some parts you're feeling angry towards these sort of people, and then in the next moment, the same people you're feeling so sorry for. So it's just back and forth, back and forth. Thomas Vinterberg plays games with you as far as emotion is concerned. It's just one of the most depressing films I've ever seen. As I said, there is no real villain, there's no real hero. It's all just just a complete mess. And even the little child who lies, you can understand that she doesn't understand what she's doing. So at the same time, you feel angry for her for lying, but her age, she doesn't know any better. So once again, there's no one to basically vent your frustration at. And the movie just keeps on going round and round, and that's why it's such a tragedy, is because it's just a little lie, and it's just spiraled well out of control, and everybody is out of their depth, and they don't know how to handle it. And basically what it comes down to in the end is violence and basically just judgmental behaviour and labelling this guy as a complete monster when they don't really know the facts. So the movie plays out brilliantly. I thought the pacing was phenomenal. There is no violence in the movie. There's no real nudity, although there is a little bit of violence. But it doesn't play on what you see. It's more a playing on attitudes. It's a playing on themes. And I thought for a movie that didn't have much action going on in it, it was captivating. It kept me enthralled from start to finish. I felt so much sorrow that I was left feeling very depressed by the end of it. So it is a movie, as I said, about the paranoia that we have towards children and the blindness we have at judging other people who have been accused of a certain event. And this can happen to anybody. The realism in the film is superb. I thought the dialogue was fantastic. The way that it was shot reminded me of Silver Linings Playbook, in the fact that it feels like you're a fly on the wall. It feels like you're in a real discussion. This script is so real that it just feels like, authentic sort of friends talking to each other. It just feels like an everyday conversation, and I thought that level that contributed to the level of realism that the director wanted, and it makes the harsh reality of this environment even more frightening as far as I'm concerned. I thought the ending was great, leaves the door up to interpretation. You can make your own judgments as to what it's about, and it's a very harrowing finish. You could think to yourself, well, this movie, you could say that it was a happy ending, you could say that it was a very sad ending. It's just one of those movies that leaves it up, and it really doesn't tell you what to feel. You get to decide that at the end. So the soundtrack was great. There are some very, very emotional scenes. I was nearly teary, to be honest. There was one scene involving a dog, and I just thought that was one of the most beautiful, but at the same time depressing scenes I've ever seen. It will go down as probably the highest impact of a scene that I've ever seen, and I loved it. But at the same time, it's not a movie that I would want to go back and see again, because it just made me feel so hopeless. It made me feel so drained. And this is exactly what a cinematic experience should be. It should be something that really does blow you away, and The Hunt is exactly going to do that. I mean, this is absolutely brilliant filmmaking. I am going to recommend this to anybody out there who likes, it doesn't matter what genre you like. This is a movie that needs to be seen by everybody, because it shows that Denmark, Mads Mikkelsen, and everybody involved, Thomas Vinterberg, it is just first-class filmmaking, and movies like this don't come along enough, and it deserves to be seen by everybody. So this is a masterpiece, to say the least. Absolutely brilliant. One of my favourite films, but having said that, it's like Martyrs. It completely drains you of emotion, and it's definitely a movie that you have to regroup before you want to go and see again. So overall, 5 stars. This is flawless filmmaking, and I was completely blown away by what I experienced. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies. I'll see you later.